way too much to drink last night. And again.
Girl, it's been 4 months. You need to get back to you.
See? That's why I knew I should not have come over here, because y'all always trying to lecture me about something. I'm about to go.
Sit down.
I don't want to go home.
Girl, no, you're not. Sit your tail down.
Girl, sit your ass down.
Gosh. I don't want to talk about it. Every time I talk about it, all I do is cry. I'm tired of talking about him. I'm tired of thinking about this.
We don't want to talk about it. We want to talk about you.
Really needed this, and I needed to drink with somebody besides myself.
Good, I'm gonna get you something good and dark. You like that, don't you?
I mean, a little drink ain't never hurt nobody, but what you gonna do?
Right, what are you gonna do?
I don't know. I have no idea. I can't stop thinking about him. Like, I can't stop thinking about us. I don't know what happened. I just replay it over and over.
That's because you haven't let Rob hit that yet.
You know what? I'm not thinking about you or side-eye ass Rob.
Girl, she ain't thinking about that.
Well, she should, or she wouldn't be up here looking like Felicia, okay? Look, they ain't gonna say it, but I will. Girl, you look crazy, and the best way to get over somebody is to get under them.
Oh, no.
Yes.
You don't look crazy, but I'm
Whatever.
mourning.
Whatever.
Listen, she don't need Rob. That's actually not gonna make it better. It's just gonna make it worse.
Well, she needs to do something. With all that ass, she ain't doing nothing with it.
What she really trying to say is, you really need to take some time and just start focusing on you.
I drink to that.
Listen, you stuck in that house thinking about your past when you need to be out here creating your future.
Why are you always so nasty? I'm just saying.
I'm actually partially gonna agree with Autumn on this one. I mean, what you guys had is gone. I really wish that you would just appreciate what it is that you guys had. I mean, it's over, but if we're honest, you don't miss him. You miss the comfort. You miss the feeling.
I do.
You don't miss him.
I do. I don't miss him. I can't stand him. But stop. But he was all I knew. And I really don't know how or if I'll ever find something like that again.
You may not. You may actually get more. Our minds are powerful. It's basically the power of the thought, right? I mean, think about it. This drink, this phone, this fly ass hair, it all started from a thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So think about what it is that you want for your future, and I promise you, it'll come to you.
My whipped cream's still over there.
Gosh, I can't take you, Autumn.
Listen. I'll call you back because they hate it.
Listen, just don't bring no more babies into this family.
No more. We can't take it.
We
Can't.
tired of you and
Hey,
your
I'm
6
trying
kids
to create some fun,
coming to
right?
every
She said
get-together.
create what you want. I want some fun.
Listen, you decide what it is that you want. Take a moment, focus on what it is that you want your future to look like. Write it down and see how you can put it into action. I mean, for real. I actually just found this website.
Dr. Tammye Mathews. I am a naturopathic doctor and a life coach. And most people say, well, what is a naturopathic doctor? I teach holistic healing, mind, body, and spirit. I believe in getting to the root cause of an imbalance and then working your way towards healing versus the difference between what I do and an allopathic medicine doctor is they look at your symptoms and they look to treat your symptoms in order for you to feel better in hopes that ultimately you'll change your lifestyle and heal. but I'm the one that's holding your hand saying, okay, this is what your doctor said. Let me hold your hand so you don't have to be on this medication forever. And I believe it starts with the mindset.
Success is, I believe that once you define those goals and you define what you want, you start working towards those things. Relationships play a big part in that. Relationships are a big element of what makes us successful, because we're developing trusting relationships. A lot of times those relationships give us more opportunities, but also helps us with our esteem.
Yeah, I agree, because one thing we have to keep in mind is that when we meet someone, I believe in the law of attraction, they are a reflection of who we are. And not entirely, but there is something about that person that you see of yourself in them. So law of attraction says like attracts like. So as you're having a conversation with someone, and even prior to a conversation, it's something you may see, it's some energy you may feel, and then you're having a conversation, you see yourself. That's how relationships ultimately develop. Yeah. So I do agree with you on relationships being essential in being able to get to that level of happiness. Because once you see yourself in that person, then you're learning more about yourself. When you learn more about yourself, then I believe you become a little bit more loving and understanding of who you are and less critical.
Mm-hmm. So happiness too is doing things that are meaningful, right? So I believe, I talk a lot about purpose, and that's the foundation of Empower 527. So we have the elements of success, and we're talking about some of the elements of well-being, but the motivational, the inspirational part that pushes us is purpose, and living with purpose, living with meaning. And if we're not living with meaning, that's where depression comes in, and we start to look at what other people are doing, and we start to judge ourselves by their statuses versus what makes me happy.
Then how do you measure success? You go by, the company standards of success. Oh yeah, I'm successful in my job. I hit my goals. I got a good rating. Okay, but then you go home, and then what's your measure? That, you have food on the table for your children. Okay, and that can be a mark of success. But then personally, some people actually, like, I love doing 5Ks. So I like to challenge my body. So if I can run a 5K without walking, that's successful. So everybody gets to create what that is for themselves. But the important part is to create it. Take the time to create, what it is that you like, what you want, what you desire, what you want to accomplish. And then you set a standard of measurement.
Yeah. And, breaking what success means or what makes you happy in different elements of your life, from your financial goals to your relationship goals to some of your self-interest, and I think that when we talk about purpose is, some people may be listening and saying, well, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know how to find my purpose. I know you have some suggestions, but one suggestion is just to write down what are things you like to do. And what are some things that people tell you that you're good at, or what type of questions or advice that people come to you for? What would you do for free?
Yeah.
What would you do for free that you won't have to be paid for, but you love doing? That is something purpose. And the definition of purpose is responding to something bigger than yourself. So when you find something that you have experiences in the past, that you may have been through divorce and it was a bad divorce, and you learn how to overcome that, that's something you can relate to other people. Maybe you have certain skills or passions that you're really good with that you can give back. So those are some examples of just people to think about when they're looking about finding purpose, but also living with meaning. So, once you define what your success is and you start putting certain goals together, but you also need to live with meaning. And that's how that's how you find that purpose.
I love that. Living with meaning. One of the things that I focus on teaching everyone is mind, body, spirit connection. And there isn't just one area, like you said, and the financial does come into play as well in that. One area has to do with the other. For example, if I'm physically ill, there was probably something that was going on mentally, which could be, stress related. Something happened in my life emotionally. Some belief that I hold in my mind based on what I've been told or what, society or the news has put out now has caused my body to fail, because the mind and the body are connected, but also the spirit is connected. And actually there's downloads that happen from the spiritual realm that then are inserted in our minds, and then it affects our bodies. But what happens is, and then I will say this, relationships and finances are directly correlated. So everything is relative. What happens in society is that we have television, we have, I like to say talking on the phone, we have so many things happening, YouTube, social media, that we are not able to efficiently or effectively receive the downloads from the spiritual realm in our minds, and because it's so crowded with all of the fears, all of the negative energy, the toxic energy that we're holding in our brain that's constantly being shoved, regardless, you hear subliminal messages, regardless of if you want to be, or if you're watching the television or listen to the radio or not. Billboards, there's so many things that are constant. Like, we have billions of thoughts going through our minds a day.
Yeah.
So when we are not trained to be able to manage our minds and being able to slow it down and reflect through meditation, yoga, things like that, then it's very challenging to receive spiritually the information needed that is going to help you have a more successful and happy life, because it's the spiritual realm gives you sneak previews of coming attraction. Law of vibration postulates that everything is moving. Although this computer, our chairs look like they're still, there are billions of molecules that are collapsing together. We are billions of molecules collapsing together. So if you look at us under a supersonic microscope, you don't look a whole, we're just molecules. So we're constantly vibrating up and down, up and down. So when you talked about growth mindset and fixed mindset, that fixed mindset is a false sense of comfort zone. I'm going to stay right here because this is safe. This is what my mama taught me, and this is what my daddy taught me. So it must be right, and this is what I'm going to stick with. Although I am not receiving the results I want to see, but I'm going to stay right there. That comfort zone does not exist. It is a false sense of security. You're either vibrating up or you're vibrating down. That's it. The higher you go vibrationally up, the more you can hear spirit realm and you have higher thoughts to be able to then implement and incorporate into your life, which again leads to happiness and success. But when you have that fixed mindset, you're constantly vibrating lower, and that causes some negative results, and which is why in some cases you see people that are depressed or are sick, or and the thing is knowing and understanding that the thoughts that you're holding has something to do with that. It is a direct correlation, whether it's something new or something old. Some type of way your mindset was created, and it was created by perhaps, again, your parents or who people you've lived with, your teachers. They've been formed. But then if you never go past the education you received outside of school or outside of family, your mind, you don't grow.
So fear is a mindset. So for instance, if me and you walk in the room, may be stronger than this. When we see a spider, you may jump because most women are scared of spiders. They'll say a man is not scared of a spider, but it's the mindset. What is that spider going to do to you that's going to make you scared? So it's like, some of the fears that we have of success, some of the fears that we have that we're grown into. We're born with certain fears by just our environment or just things that we experience, that we bad relationships, we get fear of things, fear of the unknown, fear of different things, and it's that mindset. So it's like you said, it's the having that fixed mindset of certain fear and not deciding that you can overcome that fear and tackling that fear on head on. You're not reaching your full potential. And I love when you say that having that spiritual download, that when you are living with meaning, you start to develop flow, right? There's a when we start getting ideas, we're writing those ideas down. We're keeping those back in our mind. We're not just letting them slip down because that's part of our process, part of what we're trying to complete, the things we're trying to do. So it's it's everything is so connected: the mind, the body, the soul, the mind, the body, and the spirit. So that when you are living with meaning and you're doing certain elements of discipline that's helping you with your goals, you start to process those things. You start to see those things that are helping you navigate towards your future. And really quick, success is not about getting there, right? Success is the journey.
Yes.
It's all about the journey. So it's we because once you win that race, once you complete that goal, now it's like, okay, what's the next thing, right? So that's why we always have that growth mindset, so that we're able to always be able to think openly, but also that we can keep ourselves encouraged and inspired that we can do more.
Because it is all about the journey. And we talk about soul and spirit interchangeably, and they're different entities. And most people are like, well, soul, spirit is the same. But, the soul was what was created in the beginning of time. People have different beliefs, but the soul is what houses our DNA. Like, that's what houses purpose. When we were created with a purpose. There was an intention in mind. And in order to be able to tap into the DNA of your soul and live your best life, you have to be able to connect spiritually to know what your soul is saying. Because you can get, and I'm a witness. I got caught up in my 30s, in the whole money game. I was a pharmaceutical sales rep. I was living my best life. And I was becoming more and more physically ill. But I like to say also mentally ill. It was a very stressful time. So what I did was I looked for external things to make me happy, when really it was the spirit saying, hey, tapping, hey, you're off course, hey, need you to pay attention, hey, this is not gonna make you happy, food is not gonna make you happy, buying things is not gonna make you happy. Going back to what you said in the beginning, that, and I wasn't rich. Now let me just say, I did okay. But 37% that was rich, not being happy. I was that middle class, let's just say, that was comfortable but was unhappy. And once I realized that it was more than just me needing to lose weight, I needed to change my mindset, then that was what brought me towards purpose. So it took me to have to be physically ill and say, okay, enough is enough. If I don't get it together, I'm going to die, before I'm 40. For me to then get in place to get quiet, to turn off all of the noise and say, okay, God, universe, whoever you pray to, what is it that I'm here to do? Because what I'm doing is not working and I'm becoming more and more ill. So paying attention, it's not the material. It's when you go home at night and you close your door, are you happy? Like you beginning what you said, are you happy? And I wasn't. I could put on the mask and it looked like I was because of the materialism and having the friends and being able to party and travel. But when I went home at night by myself, I was not happy. This had to change.
But, most people don't understand what the difference between what they think make them happy and to what actually makes them happy. How do we change that? What would you tell a client that's come to you with a bad breakup or just feeling like they're just kind of lost? What would you suggest to them? How would you work with them?
Absolutely. So that is a very common question. First of all, one of the tools that I use, and this is just in my business, is holistic detoxing. And mainly what that means is setting aside time for you, setting yourself and putting yourself in the calendar where you say, I'm going to focus on me. This is the weekend, this is the month, however long you feel that you want to go, to say, I am going to study Tammye for the next 3, 4, 5 days. With that, you're only inputting fresh, live foods, no comfort foods. Everything has a purpose. There's no television, there's no radio, unless it's a meditative type thing that's going to pour some positive knowledge into you. There is no social media. You literally are shutting everything down so that you can be intentional on what is it that I need in this season. We have seasons, and every season there's a different need. So if you follow nature and you take a look at all the different seasons, each season is different. So in this season, what is it that I need in order to be able to feel happy and successful and to accomplish my purpose and assignment? And then you spend that weekend journaling, just listening to positive information, prayer, meditation is big, being able to sit quietly and control your mind where it's not going on, oh, I got to do this, oh, I forgot to do this. Did I do this yesterday? No, but being present. And that's a practice. That doesn't happen overnight, but that's what I encourage. And, having your candles, having whatever it is around you that makes you feel your best. Now, I will have to tell you this, when I started on this journey to self-healing and being happy and purposeful, I really didn't know what made me happy. I really didn't even know what I liked. What you said, I was that person. I'm like, I think I like candy. I think I like flour. I don't know. I mean, I think I'm supposed to like this. And I had to learn who Tammye at the age of 39 was. Tammye 101. The age of 39.
I'm sure that was eye-opening. I'm sure it was like you learned a lot of new things, right?
I did. And that was the start of me really learning how to love myself. And I think once you begin to love yourself and realize that you don't need all of the things you think you need, then that's empowering. And in that empowerment, you start attracting the things that truly benefit and aid you into creating an environment of happiness, including attracting those relationships that support that empowerment, that self-love, attracting those people that can support that even in you. My friends, my circle of friends changed, everything changed. So that's what I would encourage people to do. If you're really serious about wanting to know what your purpose and assignment is, you have to, I hear people say, I can't do that, or I can't afford that. And I'm like, okay, but then you don't really want it.
Yeah.
Because it all comes down to how bad do you want to be happy? Mm-hmm. How bad do you want to be successful?
And with the goal setting in mind, you're only going to put the effort into what you think is important. So a lot of times if we are working on certain goals and we say, well, I really want this, I want that, but then if you give up easily, you didn't really want it that bad. So
Exactly.
we put in the effort that we want for things that we really want. That's why when people are sometimes we're motivated by inspiration or desperation. And when we're in those desperate times, that's when we really motivate to move or we inspired to move. So, and, you know, for some people who are thinking like, maybe I said, well, I want to be rich. I want to change my job, but you still not looking. You still haven't developed yourself. You really don't want it that bad. You got to look at yourself in the mirror. We talked about earlier, evaluation is like, is that really what you want? Maybe that's not what you want. That's not what you want. So don't be depressed about things that you say that you want, but you really don't want it because you actually want to speak that, right?
I love that. Be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have to be honest. This is what I tell my clients. You don't have to be honest with me, but be honest with yourself. This is not, you really don't want to be a millionaire. Yeah. You say you want to be a millionaire, but you don't even go play the lottery. So what energy are you putting towards that?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Yep. Be honest with yourself. And that is going to take a load of stress off of you.
And having faith in yourself and your mindset is going to really bring so much. You never know what you can do. You know, some of the greatest athletes in the world, they put in hours and hours of effort and time into their craft, and they do more than what their expectations were because they not only had the belief, but they put the effort into that.
Absolutely, yeah. So again, that's that mental, that's that self-discipline, that's that spiritual, that's that, you know, consulting with whatever your belief is, that higher being on what's my next step, or even driving them. But what drives them to have such impeccable work ethic, or you know, that physical and knowing and understanding that there's certain things that their physical bodies can or cannot do in order to be ready for a game. Athletes like Muhammad Ali, how they weren't able to have sex before a match because the life force is drained. In order for them to be their best, they can't do that. So that takes self-discipline. All that's connected together. And then, of course, the people that you have in your life that are either bringing drama, you know, or supporting you. All of it is relative.
And that discipline is so important, and we talk about that in other series, but it keeps resonating in everything I talk about, because the discipline is going to help you get out of bad relationships earlier versus saying, you know what, I'm going to stick it out. When you discipline enough, you know that, okay, well, this doesn't work for me, right? Discipline enough to keep eating right. So when some people come to you and they do that weekend detox, they got to have discipline to not eat that chocolate, but have only live foods, and to journal and be disciplined on doing that. Because when you start to change your discipline, you start to create new habits that are more conducive to success versus being into the same old rut that you have been. So discipline is so important. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, and that even goes back to Mary's, purpose. Because when I know my purpose, that then drives me into being more self-disciplined. And actually it becomes a part, because when you're focused, then automatically sort of that self-discipline comes into play. Yeah. And it may not be, in all areas equally, but it does come into play, because now okay, in a relationship, if this is my purpose, to be a healer and to help people, to teach them and educate them how to heal themselves, then I meet someone and he's a smoker and a drinker and he eats horribly. How can he help me on my journey? Like you said, success is about the journey.
Right.
And not to say that he could not. However, you have to evaluate each and every person that wants to be a part of your journey, just to make sure that, I call it pre-qualify them to see if they're going to be able to help you or they're going to hinder you. And there are cases where I know for myself that I allowed people on my journey, and it was somewhat of a hindrance, but it was a great learning experience, which helped me then to be able to help more people. So, but you have to be the gatekeeper of that and deciding who you will allow on the journey or not. But purpose helps. Knowing purpose helps you to be able to decide who, what, where, how many, what kind, to what extent you can then have in your circle. Our conversations, because it's something that I felt was the key to my success in being able to not only heal myself from a physical perspective, but also a mental and a spiritual. And that spiritual piece often has to do with, being disconnected from the source. Now, whatever your source is, that disconnection, then it was caused by something. And in some cases, it could be trauma. It could be the death of a loved one. And then there's just this disconnect spiritually because of grief. I mean, there are different ways, disappointments in life, and you disconnect from source. So knowing and understanding the mind-body-spirit connection and how it works and how to rejuvenate yourself is key to finding balance in your life, which that balance then leads to what we began talking about, which is purpose, which is success, which is happiness. It all flows together. And so I have some framework, and it simply helps to define when we say what type of things to put in place in order to be able to, I like to say, detox mentally, or detox spiritually, or detox physically. I'll start with the mental. Being able to control your mind, being able to, when something negative comes in, because it's going to come in, nobody's walking around perfect, being able to transform that into a positive thought. If fear, we talked about fear, that's ultimately like the biggest thing that we struggle with, because TV and radio make sure that they just, like if I hear another, I'm here in Atlanta, if I hear another, oh, if you crash your car, hey, we're here to help you. If I hear another one of those commercials, trying to drive in fear, I just turn the radio off. I'm like, you know what? Being able to then change that to, I am protected, I am grateful, I am covered, my family's covered, traveling mercies, whatever you have to put in place to change that brain where you're not harboring that, oh my God, I hope I don't have a car accident, keeping positive thoughts, releasing the negative thoughts. So they come up, you see it, and then you counter it with something positive. Positive self-affirmations every morning. I am healthy, I am free, I am happy, I am loved, because again, you're putting that out into the universe. I am grateful, and the universe receives that. See, the thing with law of attraction is that the universe doesn't know or understand I don't want. It doesn't understand that negative. So when you say things with fervor, when you say it with emotion and passion, the universe looks at that as that's what you want. So when you're speaking, oh, I don't want to have a car accident. Oh, I don't want this. The universe doesn't hear, I don't want. The universe hears, I want. So it's very important for you to control your mind, which, your words that you speak, what you put out into the universe, in order to be able to attract the things that you want. Because ultimately, that's what we want to do. We want to attract the things that we want. Daily mindfulness practices, working on forgiveness. We talked about gratitude. But forgiveness is huge, because it has been clinically proven that when we harbor bitterness within us, that does lead to cancer. So there is clinical information. So you may think that, oh, well, I work out all the time and I'm good, I'm this and that. But baby, if you haven't taken care, if you still holding grudges against mom and them, cousin them, ultimately that affects your health. So cancer is not.
That's so powerful.
It is clinical studies out there to confirm that. So being able to keep this clear is so key. But also you got that spiritual, which, connecting with God, the universe, whoever that higher being is that you believe in. That's huge. Having a daily spiritual meditation practice. I like to say, why get you have a GPS system. Why are you just going to get in the car and start driving you don't know where you're going. Put the address in the GPS before you get in the car.
Yes.
That's what a spiritual practice will do, so that you can ensure that whatever's going to happen that day, you are prepared to handle it. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. It's not about living a perfect life. It's about, like, and I keep saying what you're saying because you have such great valid points. It's about each journey and experience being successful in accomplishing those things. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like sometimes Wonder Woman, because I'm like, oh, my internet not working. I'm like, this is good, because I see them coming and I'm like, because I'm equipped. I know that, guess what? Even when we talked earlier about, they want to do a fire inspection in the middle of my tape. And I'm like, no.
And real quick, like, that's really, I think it's really important what you said about the journey, is that even when, because you're going to have to deflect certain things, and you can't let that discourage you. And even when in your journey, if something don't work out, if you fail at something, you're not failing, you're learning. So it's also adapting that mindset. And you said earlier about the bitterness, that mental garbage, I wrote it down, like, the mental garbage comes in and gets sits in there, it can create cancer. So you got to change your mindset and how you respond to things, because you don't want to keep building up mental garbage that can make us sick. So
yeah, absolutely true. Because even in that and what you said, remember, then you're going to attract people that are at the level that you are, and then you're going to put in foods that are garbage. And then how then do we feel after that? Not happy and not successful.
And bloated. Triple whammy.
Thank you. Exactly. So it's all connected.
Yes, it is.
You don't just decide to go eat up that whole pizza because you were feeling healthy that day. No, you're probably stressed out, you're tired, something happened, you didn't eat like you were supposed to, and so you're like, I'm about to eat this whole piece, and then how are you going to feel? Horrible.
Yep.
It's all connected.
Yep, you're right about that.
Yeah, and then the body, of course, taking care of the body, regular, going to the doctor, going to get exams, go get tests. Although I'm a naturopathic doctor, I go to the allopathic physicians because I like to consult and get my tests, hear what they have to say. I talk about what it is that I want to do. We have a partnership. Me and my primary care physician have a partnership. He knows that my end goal is not to end up on medication. So if I come in and my blood pressure is a little bit high, then let me sit for a minute and make sure it wasn't because I was rushing in. Let me sit. We sit and we talk about it, because my end goal is not to end up on any type of medication. My end goal is to make the changes needed, whether it's the people in my life, the job, career, whatever, in order for me to live a balanced, healthy life. And my mental health is important to me. So we have that conversation, that communication. So getting your physicals once a year, of course, nutrition and eating, physical exercise, knowing what type of activity, especially as we get older, what do we like to do? What did we like to do as a child? Like, I loved to ride my bike as a child. So it's like, why don't you ride a bike anymore? So I had to go back to riding a bike. Like, get it into the stuff that you truly like to do and make that's exercise, Go skating and, stretching. I tell people flexibility is directly correlated with age. So it's important for you to get on that floor with them grandchildren or those children and have fun with them, but also do some stretching and things like that along with your physical activity in order to instill that your blood is flowing, the oxygen is going through, that everything is flowing as it should.
Yes. Deciding what you want starts with the mind. right? So we know how everything is connected. Your mind, you're only one decision away from change.
Yes.
We don't change. We don't move by chance. Move by change, and it takes about your mindset. So your mindset is going to dictate what you want, and also developing goals that are meaningful. Develop goals that you define, that are goals for you, not what someone else gave to you, but what are defined by you and are meaningful. And sometimes it may take some time to reflect. If we go through one of Miss Mathews' journeys, she can help you understand what it really makes me happy, right? So I just kind of get started with some of that, but any other tidbits you want to add in?
Yeah, just again, going back, and this is, again, I want to thank you, Michael, because this is, every time I talk about it, I just get excited about it. So I appreciate you allowing me to be a part of your project. This is amazing. One of the things that I want to highlight is that the answers are inside of you. Everything that you're looking for, happiness, success, prosperity, though the answers are inside of you. And just taking out time to just get to know you and to be quiet without distractions, you would be amazed at how your life will just have a different trajectory. And there may be people that are like, well, I'm happy now. And that's great. But again, remembering the law of vibration, that everything moves. So you may be at this place now, but you gotta have that growth mindset to learn new things in order to be able to maintain and that happiness or that success. So always be learning about yourself, and then adopt the tools that have been provided. And even with this project that you have, it's a tool that you can use in order to go even higher. When you get to the point of thinking that you know everything, then that's when it's time to go. That's when it's time to transition.
Yeah. So I really thank you. And so what I get from you today is, when you want to look for happiness, don't look outside, but look within.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have a website. It's Restored, RESTORED by Tammye, TAMMYE.com. But I'm also on all the social media, Restored by Tammye, Restored by Tammye. So either way, you can inbox me, or you can simply give me a call at 312-714-0449. We'll set up time and appointment. Again, I do coaching, life coaching, as well as every change of season, I host a holistic detox class for those who don't really know how to detox, or they like to do it in a group, with a group of people, because there's power in numbers. And anytime I do things in a group, it just helps to elevate what I want to do even more. So I prefer to do it as a group, but I do know that there are people who prefer to do it individually, and I do personal coaching as well.
Yeah, and I'm a big advocate of group settings when it comes to working to improve their health, improve their mind, and just want to kind of get on a different path of what they're on. Please reach out to Ms. Mathews, Dr. Mathews here, and take advantage of that detox, and take advantage of some of her tools and experience of how she can help.